Thapelo,
My friend.
first of all, I think it is long overdue. I need to have you on the podcast for an entire conversation, but I thought it was imperative that I steal you just for this moment. First
Yes.
of all, coming up on 8 years sober on the 1st of August.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you for that.
I think that this question really and truly does speak to someone like you, who has decided that, they're going to live their life as the best version of themselves. We know that when we go to bars, when we go to brides, when we go to dinners, your host or your waiter will ask you what's your poison. Basically asking you what it is that you'd like to drink. However, poison in its inherent form is something that you drink and it eats you up from the inside.
Yes.
Something you ingest and it eats you up from the inside. And our issues, problems, world issues can really eat up at us from the inside as well. Much like some of the issues that we've been seeing discussed here in Namhlanje. So, in relation to the International Day of the Boy Child, and in relation to abantwana base South Africa, Thapelo, I'm going to ask you that question.
Okay.
What's your poison?
Sheesh. That's a difficult one in that context, eh?
What keeps you awake at night when it comes to abantwana base South Africa?
What keeps me up awake at night? I think at the moment, man, and I'm seeing it with my son also, right? I think technology and the influence thereof, right? And I'm seeing the patterns in terms of changes in behavior, where I have to physically sometimes stop him from being on devices, or just generally stop him from being on YouTube.
Yeah.
And obviously that is also a parental responsibility to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just that sometimes you also can't be so strict on your child that you don't want them to experience certain things, right? But even that little bit of access that I do give him, it does have such a lot of impact on him, right? So I think for me, in this current day and age, we grew up a little bit more tougher simply because of the times.
Yeah.
And everybody now, all our sons and young boys are very sensitive. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing that I've seen in terms of influence is that access to technology too early and being desensitized and overly influenced and overly stimulated, you know?
You know what another thing is? Because the flip side of that, because I feel like it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
Because you restrict your child too much from technology.
Exactly.
And then now they're going into a world where they don't understand how things work.
Exactly.
They go to school and they don't understand the references that other children are making from TikTok, which means that they end up getting teased, they end up getting bullied. So,
and that is the challenge, right? Because even again, going back to my boy, with a PlayStation, all his friends had a PlayStation and all of these things. The conversations at school is, hey, Fortnite, this and this and that. And at the time, I was of the notion that, no, you're only going to get your PlayStation when you're like 12 years old or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm being pressured but not even just being pressured by influences, but just seeing him and his response to how his peers are treating him. Peer pressure, obviously.
Absolutely.
And in turn, that peer pressure is now applied to you. You know what I mean? So it's a catch-22 if you say, where do you find the balance, right?
Yeah.
As a parent, where you give your son or your child access to all of these devices and technology, but at the same time mitigating certain things that they can't be exposed to. And the thing is, these people, like your YouTubers who create so-called child-friendly content, are actually quite sinister.
Yeah.
In some of the ways that they actually get these kids to subscribe. Because sometimes I would be listening, like not paying attention but working, and he's playing something in the background, right? And then they'll be like, if you don't subscribe, your mother will die.
Oh, geez.
They actually, no, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of these guys that do a lot of these shorts for child content.
Yeah.
They actually influence, like, if you don't subscribe, you don't love your mother. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even when you
trying to imagine it in the voice, if you don't subscribe,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even when you're trying to literally just mitigate the type of content that your child is exposed to, even that's not safe. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much, brother. Go ahead and tell me what your poison is in the comment section. # what's your poison? And of course, at the Best of Me Pod across the board. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.
Best. And